Darren Rovell of Collect TV here with Eric Shemtov, the general manager of collectibles at Whatnot. How's the biz been?
It's been great, super fun. This is I think it's the 5th national, and it's pretty unbelievable to see both the growth of Whatnot, of course, our team, but also the hobby. Like every event that we go to, bigger and bigger, and so super excited about what we're seeing. Business is doing really well, the growth is strong. One of the metrics that I'm super excited about is 1 in 10 sellers on Whatnot is now a full-time Whatnot seller.
And what qualifies a full-time seller?
That is the entirety of what they do for their income.
Get out of here.
And so pretty unbelievable. The number of sellers that have done over $1 million in lifetime GMV or sales on the platform has doubled in the last year. So pretty unbelievable to see the growth.
And some of that is at $10 or $25 increments?
Oh, 100%. People are starting auctions, 1-minute auctions or quicker, starting them at $1 and just moving a ton of volume. One of the first sellers actually brought onto the platform, I think they just hit 3 million lifetime orders in around 4 years, and so pretty unbelievable to see what folks are doing.
How do you manage the vendor relationships, making sure that they're upholding standards, ethics, and best practices?
Yeah, it's a great question. So 2 pieces. One, the application process to be a seller, a bunch of checks and balances. We look at a bunch of different insights, ID verification, so on and so forth. We have firm policies around what you can and cannot do on the platform, and then enforcement around when things are not going the right way, whether it's around the commerce side, shipping, content, and so on. Ultimately, live is a very interesting medium, which and so policing around it is tricky, but
because you'll always, if something happens, you'll invariably be behind on it. Right?
Exactly,
and it reflects your brand.
Of course. Yep. And so I think there's 2 components of it. Is one, we're of course upholding our brand, but sellers are also bought into that, right? Like they're putting their name on their stream, but they are also part of the community on Whatnot. And so always trying to push forward, doing the right thing. And then we're always adapting our policies because, as you know, the hobby is creative, folks are creative. They want to have fun. We just watched a coin flip at a booth. And so when you see things like that, we have to adapt what our policies are, how we work, how we monitor, how we enforce, and so on.
We've obviously seen, from a grading standpoint, Pokemon just completely taking over. Do you see that match kind of what's going on in the grading numbers that we see with what's going on in the selling numbers?
Yeah, of course. I think Pokemon has been growing a ton as well. It ebbs and flows in terms of what people are really excited about. So, early in Whatnot, Pokemon was our 2nd category, sports was our 3rd. It was a lot of
What was first?
First was Funko Pops.
Oh, right.
That's
what started
story.
it, right?
Exactly. And so the vintage box breaks at that time were really, really big. They went into a bit of a lull. Singles started to pop. Vintage has come back, and then the modern market in Pokemon is ripping. One pocket I'm really excited about is entertainment cards. Everyone's talking about it. It's bringing new people into our hobby. It's giving them a new thing to collect, and so really excited about that.
I mean, I love vintage entertainment. I love the 70s cards. You can get the Swedish Billy Joel, and I love that. I also love, there's also energy here around even some of the Leaf cards where I saw Pop 1 Meg Ryan. I mean, I also, what's your thoughts on comic books and magazines with PSA getting into magazines?
Yeah, I mean, walked by the PSA booth. They look great.
Beautiful.
I think people are excited about it. I remember as a kid waiting for my Sports Illustrated for Kids to come into the mail, and
I'm glad you said for kids. that original Jordan with the 2 kids jumping, that first issue,
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And so it's cool to be able to put that, and have it be in a slab, and I'm really excited about it. And again, I think it's another way for folks to express their collecting, right? Which is something that you do, new thing for them to collect. Even the gaming guides for Nintendo games.
Nintendo Power number 1, baby. Those things are great. Okay, so what about the sellers in general in terms of the entertainment of it all? How much are you watching? How much do you care about how good the content actually is?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think just like any other form of content, people like different things. You compare it to TV, some people like true crime, some people don't. And so some people like a loud and rambunctious show, and others like something that's softer, quieter. Even the pacing of shows, like some are really fast paced where the auctions are going and going and going, and people like that. Attention spans are shorter. If you don't like the card that's being shown, you don't have to wait that long to see the next one. But entertainment is obviously a key factor, because there's differentiation in the products, but on a release day for a new product, everyone is moving the same thing. And so it's, who do you like to engage with? Where's the community that you feel you fit in? Who are the folks you like to collect with? And that's the beauty of Whatnot. It's the room that you're in that really makes the experience. Half of it is the seller, of course, and their product, but it's also the other folks there that you're engaging and collecting with.
How much do you monitor? Again, it's like there's so much of this that's policing, which kind of stinks, but it is what it is. How much do you monitor the blind boxes, the repacks by the guys, at least giving them standard practices? Hey, listen, you're selling a repack, we hope that it's at the value that you say it is, because there's a lot of people who have fun with it, but it does get a little carried away if it doesn't live up to the standards.
Yeah, of course. I think one of the things that we always say is we're in the business of creating a great experience for buyers. Of course, we have to manage the seller side as well, but sellers come to the platform to reach buyers and to grow their business, right? And that is a long-term play. Like, we're running more than a marathon, it's an ultra marathon. And so we're always monitoring these things, again, adapting our policies. And so on the repack side, it's something we've been looking at for a while and developing something around, because we want to ensure that there's transparency and there's comfort in buying. If you come to the platform and you purchase once and you have a bad experience, you didn't get the card or otherwise, like, you're never going to come back. You're not going to go back to that seller. You're not going to go back to Whatnot. And so that's something that we care a lot about and invest a lot of energy into. And, being in the hobby and seeing it evolve and adapt, like, we have to be at the forefront of that. And so there's more to come on that front, but yeah.
How do you market Whatnot outside of Whatnot? In other words, how do I see what's going on Whatnot if I'm not on Whatnot? Because then you're going to say, that's interesting, right? Like, so how are you putting widgets in places, and how are you sharing what's happening on Whatnot to people who currently aren't seeing it?
Yeah. I think a lot of it comes back to the content side. Like, this is where live and video are amazing. Like, if there's a really big hit or something that people are chasing, like, that clip is likely going to go viral. Of course, at times we post it, but oftentimes it can be the buyer or even the seller. And that's creating that FOMO aspect of like, wow, this thing happened live, I missed it. Compare it to live sports, like, yeah, you can watch SportsCenter, it's not as fun as watching it and texting your friends live. And so, we work with a lot of creators in the hobby, of course. Our sellers are posting about different things. And yeah, it's really exciting. One of the things that we have not done is we don't publish or share our comps on any of the cards. We've had conversations about it before, but you see a lot of other marketplaces doing that. It's not that we won't do it. I think the nature of the platform is unique, though, and
sure. What did you like in the moment? What was in the moment that you bought? And,
exactly.
It's about the moment sometimes.
Exactly.
What's the average age of the purchaser? Let me guess. 26.
Pretty fair guess. I think across the platform, it definitely varies. You'd be surprised. A lot of people think, oh, it has to be Gen Z.
Right.
Yeah, but it's not. It's a lot of millennials. I think when you look at a category like Pokemon, of course, kids are really excited about it. But at the same time, on the vintage side, there's a lot of nostalgia of, like, I remember when I was growing up, I was buying like Japanese Pokemon cards because they were cheaper. And so now, when I see that card available, I'm more inclined to go and chase it.
Last question, best practices, people do well by topic. Like if they're just someone's into the stream, they're into that, kind of being all over the place in it. What might be a normal auction is not really where it's at, right?
I think it really varies. Like, I'll use the example of some of our bigger single sellers. Like, they're selling more cards in an hour than some people will likely sell at the National this weekend, right. Dealers. And so it's really like, at times, it depends on the show you're running. At times there's more curation, and it's like, hey, we're going to run only PSA 10s, or we're going to run a vintage basketball night. And others, they're just flipping through and trying to build the audience, build the room, and see what people are excited about. Like, ultimately, like, you turn on the live, you don't know who's going to pop in, you don't know what people are going to ask for, and so as a seller, like, having that inventory on hand and then switching it up and really listening to your customers and like, what are they looking for? So I can tell you, like, obviously with Caitlin Clark, like, everyone is looking for Caitlin Clark. So if you want a hero piece, that's the hero piece in your show. You go to our booth, we have a $50,000 giveaway for the little all-star game that we're running, and like, the hero card is a Caitlin Clark auto. And so building your show in that way and really catering to what users want allows you to build that community of people that are going to come back and engage with you.
Eric Shemtov, the GM of Collectibles for Whatnot, congratulations on everything, and thanks so much for joining us here at the National.
Appreciate it, Darren. Thanks.